Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
But I'm fascinated by your social media and the little roadie you went on to Sask. Huge crowd at the Blades game. You seem to enjoy. You and I were like a pimp at a picnic in that place back in the day. Not too welcome, but it looks like you had a good time in the Credit Union Center or whatever the hell they're calling it now.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I will say, and we'll laugh at this, like, I think you and I are both really good friends with Steve Hildebrand and know a number of people. Les Lazaruk's obviously close to our heart. But as former voices of the Raiders, we can't cheer for the Blades, right? Like, that's not the way the world works. But I will say it was awesome going into that building. And I think it's been well documented now that some prices around the WHL are getting out of reach in different markets. But what the Blades have been able to do for that $5 deal, the night I was there, it was $5 for a ticket, $5 for a hamburger, and $5 for a beer. And during the stoppage and play, during the TV timeouts, or media timeouts, because there's no actual television there, they were dropping $5 bills towards kids from their little hot air balloon that would kind of float around the arena. So it was cool. They did a masterful job. They announced about, I think it was 66 or 6,700 people that night. It felt like there was 8,000. And the team played well. They jumped out to an early 3-0 lead. Seattle was there. There's obviously some Western Canadian kids, or Prairie kids, I should say, on the T-Birds that added a little bit of intrigue because it was kind of a one-time regular season stop for them. But it was fantastic. Like, it was a really good atmosphere, and hey, I'll admit it, whether I was in PA or whether I was the voice of the Winnipeg Ice, when you went into Saskatoon, there was never really a lot of excitement in that building, but they've done a tremendous job this year kind of getting that going, and the team's obviously playing really well right now.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
I'm sitting down here in South Florida. I'm just watching. I'm watching you, Wazowski. And there's like they're trying to make up this narrative that Bedard's unhappy in Chicago, that he's got a bad attitude.
Connor Bedard's a kid who is fiercely loyal. Like, he had opportunities to leave the Regina Pats. He didn't want to leave.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show on a Thursday. Settle on in. We're going to have some fun over the next 2 hours. We always do. Here on Game Plus Television, we're on national TV in Canada. Write it down. And 31 U.S. states. And on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE. And listen up, Ryan O Radio in Atlanta, because I have a story about you coming up in just a couple moments' time. And we're streaming on YouTube and I think Facebook, too. I'm never really sure. Let's bring in the Moose, Mussolini, Moosaholic. He is in Toronto. Poppy and Blazin. Moose, how you doing, man? Tell me something good before I get into some stuff that I really want your opinion on.
It's good, man. This is the busiest part of my week because it's full of prep and stuff for the Hardy Cup on Saturday. So, like, I love it. This is great. The closer we get to the weekend...
You just adjusted your mic and it got worse. You just adjusted your mic and it got worse.
Oh, I just bumped my...
Is it just me, Clark?
Thing was about to fall off the table.
Yeah, it's on your side, Darren, so yeah, I'm taking over, and this is why we ask him to log in early. Okay, well, here's my thing. Darren, you can listen, and once you get that figured out, you can give us your opinion on this. I'm in a bit of a coffee conundrum, everybody, and Darren's a coffee aficionado because that's why I wanted to put this to him. There's like 8 million people around me really close. Not 8. Well, there is actually 8 million people really close, but it feels like 8 million coffee shops around me. And there he is. I can't hear you. Give me a 1, 2, 3, Darren. Away
1,
we
2,
go.
3.
How do you like us? There you go. You're good. Okay, this works a lot better with you part of the discussion. Look, I'm having a nervous breakdown about the tip prompt on the credit card debit machines, and I feel like everybody else is. So before we get to the sports and we can stop talking about politics, I want you, listen, Dunkin' Donuts will give you the biggest coffee for $3.28, and you don't got to tip anybody. Okay? And I could drink at Dunkin' every day, but I try to spread my coffee love around. I could go to Starbucks, where they've upped their prices, but it's not unreasonable. You know what I like. Venti Pike, extra half and half, $3.60. Bob's your uncle. You're not tipping anybody. But then you go to Brooklyn Water Bagel, where it's refillable, but I don't really sit in one place long enough to sit and refill all the coffees. It's like $3.40, but then there's the tip prompt. And if you don't tip them, you look like a jerk. But I'm like, you literally reached down, pulled up a cup, and put it on the counter. That's what you did. And I'm supposed to give you $1, $2, $3 for that? You know what I mean? There's a French bakery just down the road from me that I can walk to from the studio here. Their coffee's like $5.50. The people are really nice, but it's just a regular, they pour it in front of me. Plus, they have the tip prompt. And then here in this building, there's an Italian restaurant that the guy didn't even speak English. Not his fault. He's an Italian guy. But I just want a coffee. You want Americano? I just want a damn coffee. Then he's got the thing that looks like an ice cream scoop. Making this thing. And it ends up being $5.50. I just want a coffee. I think I'm just going to go. And then I got to tip him. Because you put all this work into this tiny little coffee that's $5.50. It's the smallest one out of all of them. But it's the closest. Maybe I should just be like you and make it at home. Am I the only one that's having this conundrum?
No, you're not. You're not the only one who's having it. We have everywhere you go, they want to tip, right? And McDonald's tip option, Tim Hortons tip option, everywhere is tip option, which I get. And I'll tip if I feel compelled to tip. Like you were really above and beyond nice to me. You did something that made me want to tip. I had some crazy request and I needed you to get out of from behind the till to, put my coffee into a tray and walk it out to who knows? But for just doing the regular old thing, you're not getting tipped. It's just not happening. So I don't feel bad about it. But it took some time because they put it up there. You just said it. And you feel bad hitting skip or hitting 0. But now I just do it so fast and I don't think twice. But it took some time.
I know, and they look at you because they know whether you tip or not. I feel like they do. And they look at you like you're a piece of crap on the bottom of their shoe. Oh, you don't want to tip me? I'm going to stab you on your way out of the building. And don't get me started on American Bank Arena, where I'm going tonight for the Florida Panthers and Nashville Predators. At the concession, they have a tip prompt there. I'm like, really? Anyways, John Ohm says, make your damn coffee at home. Here's the thing. I drink so much coffee, I make it at home, and then I buy it on the road. It's like one of my last remaining vices. Allie in Texarkana says, 7 Brew is fantastic and so cheap. I'll tip $1 because it's so cheap. Yeah, fair enough, but a lot of these places are not. And Shy, who I believe is in Regina, writes, and he says, how about the restaurant that take the tips anyway? Before you even have an option, they just add it. You really got to scan that bill to make sure that they do. Anyways, that's my pet peeve today, and I don't normally open with a pet peeve. I'm just in a coffee conundrum. And the other thing, before we get down to business, Ryan O'Radio, I was listening to the Radio Penitentiary this morning. We're on Thursdays, Darren, on WQEE, the fine radio station that airs this program, 99.1 FM in Atlanta. Every day it's the Radio Penitentiary. That's what he calls it. But on Thursdays, it's the True Crime Day, where they talk about true crime, which is kind of my thing. You know what their poll question today was? Which one of these serial killers / mass murderers should have been released from prison early? Charles Manson, Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, or other? I'm like,
how about none?
How about none, bro? How about none, bro? Ryan, what's wrong with you? Anyways, I told him we're going to be coming through Atlanta next month on our way to Nashville, and we're going to spend a day, and we're going to get with each other, me and Ryan O'Radio in Atlanta, Darren. So watch for some photos from me in the control room of WQEE. I haven't been inside a radio station since Christ was a cowboy. And I can't wait to do that next month in Atlanta. It's going to be awesome. Okay. Tuna Turner, our director today, can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please? You're welcome to chime in, everybody. The Rod Squad, the Mooseaholics, on the text line 902-518-3033 for Alaterra Skincare or the YouTube chat. That's right out of the gate, Moose. That's got them commenting on the coffee conundrum, the tip culture, WQEE. There's a lot of things. But we are on television in Canada, as I said, so let's start with hockey. Connor McDavid's return to the ice wasn't a successful one for the Edmonton Oilers last night. They suffered a 4-2 home loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. McDavid was held off the score sheet, having entered the contest with 11 points across a 6-game point streak. He was held off the score sheet. I'll just give you a couple other games, and we'll come back on all these. Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat each had a goal and an assist, and the Detroit Red Wings beat the Chicago Blackhawks 4-1. Red Wings have won 2 straight after a 3-game skid, and Alex Ovechkin scored the go-ahead goal midway through the third period, giving him 861 goals in his career. And the Capitals beat the struggling Nashville Predators 3-2 last night. Ovi beat Juicy Saros with 9:35 to go for his 8th goal of the season. He's now 34 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's record and is on pace to do it before this season is over. So the game I watched was Chicago-Detroit. We talked about Bedard yesterday. He's almost a point a game. If you think he's frustrated, whatever the narrative is, he's still got to learn to play defense. He is still a defensive liability. You just work on your own game, Connor, before we talk about anything else. He'll be fine, but Detroit was the far better team last night, and I think they're going to get their act together. What was your NHL focus last night?
Yeah, they need to. That was the game I was kind of watching a little bit of early on, and it's going to take time. I mean, Bedard's going to be one of the best players in the game year after year after year after year, but this is a young team. I mean, they've got some veteran players, but this is a team that's going to take some time to get going. And, one thing that Bedard's going to have to do a little bit is, and he's done a great job lifting everybody else up. He usually drags everybody with him, and, they'll turn a corner eventually. It'll just take some time.
And with the Oilers, I was listening to NHL radio this morning, and I'll say that again for all of the Rod Squad and the Dupe Troop. Those are the fans of Darren that aren't necessarily fans of mine. I was listening to NHL radio this morning. I'm sure there are people in those factions, Darren. I'm listening to NHL radio this morning, and Bruce Boudreau is on there. And maybe you Oiler fans that are watching in the Edmonton area and all over the world, Oiler fans, he referred to one of the Oilers' defensemen as brain dead last night. Not overall, but just that he made a brain dead play. But he didn't name the player. And I was like, oh, that's how you survive for 1,000-plus games in the NHL like Bruce Boudreau. You can hammer on somebody, just don't name the guy. Because I didn't know who he was talking about. I wasn't watching the game. But Boudreau, he's good on there. He's really good on there. And he talked about Vegas and how good they're going to be. That's why I had him in my top 5 when we did the top 5, bottom 5 yesterday. But the Oilers are below 500. Coming up, we're going to talk about the coaching hot seat. It was November 12th last year that Jay Woodcroft was fired. We're coming up on the witching hour of it. Like, at what point do the Oilers really, Darren, get worried in your mind, do you think?
Well, not yet, but soon. Like, if we're sitting here, I would say if they're still sitting here fighting to be a 500 hockey team, at U.S. Thanksgiving, you're starting to sweat. If they're not a playoff team at Christmas, now it's a full-on panic attack. That's kind of where I am with the Oilers.
Yeah, for me, it would be U.S. Thanksgiving, which is coming up the week after Grey Cup. Darren's got a little more patience on that. Allie says, what do you call fans of both? You and me. I guess that falls under the Rod Squad. But I like the Dupe Troop, too. CFL fans, don't get your panties in a bunch. We're getting to you. But our second point here in the Quick Six Show Topics is our poll of NHL coaches. And let me go back to my script. Believe it or not, I have one there. The Predators' woes continued. I said they lost last night to Washington. Despite 33 saves from Saros, Juicy Saros, and goals by UC Paterson and Steven Stamkos. Nashville has opened at 4-8-1 this season after signing Stamkos, playoff MVP Jonathan Marchessault from 2023, and defenseman Brady Shea in a $100 million plus free agency spending spree this summer. So I just want to go back on this. We brushed on it yesterday. We're going to spend more time on it today. It's our poll question for EMJ Marketing. And by the way, EMJ Marketing will provide the perfect keynote speaker for your function. Check out their roster at emjmarketing.com and then look them up and ask for Joe. The poll question is, who will be fired first in the NHL? I said November 12th last year, Jay Woodcroft was gone for the Oilers. So we're getting close to the witching hour. And your options are Jim Montgomery, Boston, Andrew Burnett, Nashville, Mike Sullivan, Pittsburgh, which the Vegas odds are on him, or other. And I think we talked about it enough yesterday that we kind of settled on Nashville. They're here tonight. And just if I may, Bruce Boudreau, I mean, I've interviewed Bruce on this show. I don't think I've ever met him in person, but I like his analysis. And he said, Darren, just so you know, he goes, if Barry Trotz fires Andrew Burnett in Nashville, it'll be the biggest mistake ever. That'd be the biggest mistake. And I'm like, says the coach. The coaches are always going to say that. Barry Trotz still has to answer to the owners. You think he's not getting his ass ripped from the owners going, you spent all this money this summer. How come we're not winning? So just because Bruce Boudreau says he shouldn't fire Burnett and put himself on the bench doesn't make it right. But by the way, our pollsters are saying it'll be Boston. Jim Montgomery, they got blown out by the Leafs the other day. So have you changed your mind in 24 hours? Or do you still think it's going to be in Nashville?
No, I haven't. I don't think Boston. I think Boston's they're like third or even fourth, fifth, sixth on that list. I don't think, unless it gets really, really bad in Boston. With Nashville, when you bring in a bunch of new players, it takes time. Like now, these are veteran players that have been around the game that are at play at a high level. They can pick it up pretty fast. Look, you're going to put a bunch of great players together on Canada, the U.S., right? These teams, the Four Nations face-off, and they're going to get it together and figure it out. But it takes time to build some chemistry and get the locker room figured out and know where everybody's role is going to be, because you're not going to have the same role on Nashville that you had in Vegas or you had in Tampa Bay. It's not always going to be necessarily the same thing. So it takes time, but you need to start seeing those results. And you mentioned that date, U.S. Thanksgiving. That's probably a date where Barry Trotz is going to say, okay, we can see this turning or we can't. And then he'll start making decisions.
Oh, yeah. That's the point, is they know. And I sit here and think far too much about this, but it's like shows like yours and mine and the podcasts that are out there and the media, the fans, it's fun to talk about. But the GMs know and the coaches know, I believe, when they're in trouble. And I don't, Andrew Burnett may or may not think he's in trouble. I don't know. I'm not in that dressing room. Sure looks like he is, though, doesn't it? By the way, just to hook everybody, keep you hanging in after the break, for the CFL fans that have come here today, your point spreads for this weekend's Canadian Football League Division Finals. They're down to the Final Four. In Eastern Canada, it is the Toronto Argonauts at the Montreal Alouettes. The Alouettes are favored by 1.5 at home. And in the West Final, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, my former team, at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Bombers favored by 4.5 points at home. So the bet odds makers, whatever you want to call them, think the home teams will win. Everybody's got an opinion out there. But Darren, I posted an article to our website, rodpeterson.com, about Zach Collaros and his beautiful family. And you may have seen the comment that I attached with that. I said, I can't believe Rider fans never liked Zach Collaros. It's elicited a lot of reaction, and a lot of people are getting upset about it. And of course, it's, how defensive sports fans are, not just Rider fans. They're like, never said I didn't like him. Somebody called me an engagement farmer, and then they called me a part of an anatomy. Are you trying to hurt my... I might have misworded it. Rider fans never took to Zach Collaros. To say they didn't like him would be wrong of me, and I didn't intentionally go out of my way to set people off. Well, in a way I did, but I misworded it. They never took to Zach Collaros. And trust me, I was the voice of the team at the time. And don't tell me that I'm wrong on that. They never took to Zach Collaros when he was quarterback of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, because I was pumping him. I was the PR guy, really, pumping the PR wheel. You don't see Collaros jerseys anywhere, Darren. You don't. They never loved him. And he was there for a couple of years. That's all I'm saying. He's a great guy, now has a beautiful family. Ran into him and his now wife at the Safeway at the corner of 13th Avenue, and Cathedral on 13th. Had a visit. He's a prickly, cantankerous guy. A lot of people would say that about me. We don't suffer fools. But for whatever reason, the Rider fans did not take the Zach Collaros. We'll get your opinion on that and the fans when we come back. NFL Thursday Nighter. Lots to get to. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, live streaming on YouTube and Facebook, and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour one of the RP Show brought to you by Culligan Water. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit their website at culliganregina.com. Please bring the Moose back in. The Alaterra text line's busy, 902-518-3033. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in. He says, hi, Rod and Moose. Great topics. Nashville coach, unfortunately, may go first. Tipping is out of control. When it becomes income tax free, it'll be even worse. Yeah, maybe. It is here in the free state of Florida. And believe me, I've talked enough politics on this show to just this week to realize I don't want to talk about any governance, politics, nothing, because what I've realized is it's bad enough in sports, Darren. People, here's what it comes down to, just so you know. I'm sure you do. You're a smart kid. People can't agree to disagree civilly. They cannot accept another person's opinion. And we've seen the worst of it over the past few weeks and even post-election. It's not new, but have you seen that? I'd rather just not even talk about it at all. Certainly not here on this show.
I'm with you on that. But that's it, having differences of opinions and still working together, it doesn't exist. I mean, and that's the unfortunate part.
Ba-ba-ba-boom.
How about that?
With regards to Zach Collaros, the quarterback of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I said the Rider fans never took to him. I misspoke when I said Rider fans never liked him. It's splitting hairs. It's very close, but it would be more accurate to say they never took to Zach Collaros. Jason in Red Deer writes in the Puck and Pigskin podcast. He says, let's be real, Rod. Rider fans don't like any quarterback that doesn't bring them a Grey Cup. And that is true. You might have said it better than anybody. But even when even when he was trying to bring them a Grey Cup, they didn't take to him because they did with Cody Fajardo. And oh my God, why did we go down this road? I guess because I steered the wheel down this road. I was thinking about this, Darren. You know how I love Cody Fajardo. What did I tell you? When you're in with me, you're in. And when you're out, you're out. And it ain't going back either way. But with Fajardo, I was talking with the football guy. Oh, I know who. On the weekend. I don't want to say who, but he just says you can't call out your receivers. You can't call out your offensive line. You can't, blah, blah, blah. And the one thing that I've seen in life, and this is where my recovery world and sports get blurred, they say don't ever feel bad for speaking the truth. If it offends people, that's their problem, not yours. But don't ever feel bad for speaking the truth. Because that football guy I was talking to on the weekend, I said, but he was right. Doesn't matter. Can't call out your receivers if you're a quarterback. You're the football guy out of us. What do you think?
Yeah, both sides are right, but it's all about, again, I'm a big on intent, and it's a lot of situation. You can't do it in the media. Yeah. That's where you can't do it, because then you're embarrassing somebody else, and there's no reason for that. Doing it in a team meeting, doing it in a locker room, doing it in a conversation, one-on-one or whatever, that's completely appropriate. I'm with you on, you should speak your mind because honesty is the best. And you need to know where you stand with people, and that's really important. But doing it in the media, that's, I think, the mistake. Not what he said, but just where he said it and to who.
Yeah, it's something I've never quite been able to figure out where that line is. John in Edmonton is watching. He writes and he says, be careful what you say nowadays. Even if you don't mean something, it could still offend people. Listen to that little voice inside your head. If you have one, Rod, that will tell you not to post it. Yeah, my voice says different things than most. That voice up there, that's all. So it's like, where's the right time and place? You know what I mean? And to be honest, anything that's said right after a game, that's a whole other thing. I did those interviews post-game for years. I don't want to do them anymore because they're just, people say things they don't mean, heat of the moment, and then people never forget them. And in the case of Cody Fajardo, it started unraveling his whole entire career in Sask just because he was emotional about something that he was right on. See how this is tricky? And we're not even talking about anything real serious. It's sports, man. It ain't life and death. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says, Collaros is beloved in Winnipeg. You see his jersey everywhere here. You should. He's on the cusp of taking the team to a 5th consecutive Grey Cup. He's won 2 Grey Cups. How many other quarterbacks have done that in Winnipeg? Not too many, I don't think. Brett Taylor writes in. He says, Collaros was a rider until I put him out. And Cody Fajardo didn't get into the game until after the next late hit on a quarterback, and he never looked back. Well, again, you chalk it up to spit happens, right? There is that. Stuff happens, and it works out the way that it's supposed to. Okay. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta, writes in. He says, Zach Collaros and Tua Tagovailoa are risking the rest of their lives still playing. You made your money, retire, and enjoy life. The article that was written by the Canadian Press, posted to rodpeterson.com, of Zach and his beautiful family, 3 little kids, and people are saying his notes are going to be scrambled later in life. You don't know. It's his life. It's his bloody life. And Tua's as well. Where do you stand on that, Darren? Do you think they should shut it down? I basically think it's their life, so butt out.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it is their life. They make decisions. And these aren't like, we have this bad definition of the meathead football player that doesn't know any better. And, the Rob Gronkowski stereotype, we're just a big dumb ape, right? And I think Gronk's more than that. But definitely these football players are more than that. And they don't make these decisions lightly. It's not like, oh, I don't have anything else I can do, so I'm just going to keep playing football. No, they talk to doctors. They talk to teammates, especially family first. They have people in their circle, and they make these decisions. And at the end of the day, it's their life, their decision. If that's what they love to do and why they're on this earth right now, then they need to keep doing it. And obviously they're taking precautions, but yeah, it's their life, their choice.
It's funny. I was pretty excited a couple of weeks ago. I did my first radio interview whereby they called me to talk about the Dolphins and the NFL. For me, that was kind of a watermark interview in my career. And the host basically was going off on Tua and how irresponsible it was to his family and to his teammates and letting them down. And I just said, guy, it's his life. 3 words. And the host had nothing to say because it's true. Randy in Winnipeg writes and he says, sports are awesome. Politics suck. Here's the thing. There's enough crappy stuff in sports like this. Everybody's telling everybody else how to act and upset that they're not getting their way. Wow. And just so you know, it ain't going to get better. It's only going to get worse because we've bred a generation of narcissists. You're welcome. John in Edmonton writes in and says, be careful what you say, Rod. You're going to upset Saskatchewan fans, and that's your fan base. John, just worry about yourself. Thank you. John Ohm says, tell a jock he should stop playing. Good luck with that. Again, good luck telling anybody how to vote, what to do, get a vaccine. Let's get real about it. Everybody's trying to tell everybody else what to do, and nobody likes it. And here we are. NFL tonight, Thursday nighter, Moose. We can come back on all this stuff later on. I want to get back to having fun. Because to me, the NFL is fun. That's the thing. I'm getting pushed into... Actually, I had backup on this with my advisors. I've had to tell people to back off because they're trying to get me into covering college sports down here. College basketball, for one, which will move into college football. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. My intuition is that I don't want to do it. I did stuff 20, 30 years ago in this business that I didn't want to do to put a paycheck, and feed a family. And that's fine. I don't have to do that anymore. So I'm not doing what I don't want to do. I want to cover the Panthers and the Lightning, and I want to enjoy the NFL. And I don't want to be in the trenches of the NFL because I want to like it. I don't want to know what's behind the curtain. We've had this discussion before. I just like the games. I want to be the happy, smiley guy. And I don't want to have to decide what to report and what not to report because that's tough. And the truth can get you fired. Don't ask me how I know. AFC North rivals are set to clash in Thursday night football tonight in the NFL. The 4-5 Cincinnati Bengals visit the 6-3 Baltimore Ravens in the first of 2 meetings on the season. Both teams coming off a win. The Bengals having thumped the lowly Las Vegas Raiders 41-24 last week, and the Ravens crushing the Denver Broncos 41-10. Baltimore favored by 5.5, Moose. Deal or no deal?
No deal. Divisional game. I think it'll be tighter. I think that spread's too big. I think Baltimore wins this game, but man, Cincinnati needs it more. Like, they really need to win this game and get to 500.
It's literally like, where did it go wrong for the Cincinnati Bengals? And by the way, here's the thing. They're 4-5, the Bengals. Have you followed them enough to say where did it go wrong? Because they didn't have a quarterback injury this year like they did last year. It was very easy to say where their season went in the toilet. Now they're paying Joe Burrow all this money. Jamar Chase is healthy. He had the training camp hold up, but he's back. They should not be this bad, right?
They should.
Do you know where it went
I think
wrong?
largely the offense has played pretty good. I think the offense has been playing pretty good. I think, even a game like that, you put up 40 points. Difference is you allowed the Raiders to score 20-plus points. You have to keep the offense on the field. You have to get your defense off the field. It's elementary stuff. The defense needs to play better for Cincinnati. But they got an opportunity tonight. It's going to be a great game. And we'll really see. I think tonight will give you a really good indication of the Bengals season. And now, it's not a must-win, but they need to either win this game or show that they are right there step for step with Baltimore. Like, they need to play in a one-possession game and be in this game to give that building hope that they can get to the playoffs. If they lose and it doesn't look good tonight, season's over.
It's interesting you say that because we're at the mathematical part. I think we would all say the Bengals season is over because look at their division. Even Cleveland's found a way to win some games, but they're done too. Over in Dallas, it's like mathematically we still have a chance. No, you don't. What you're saying is mathematically the Bengals still have a chance, and they got to start winning now, and they could. Cowboys can't. And this is where we are in the season. I'll see you in hour 2, Moose. Smoke him if you got
You bet. See you then.
Canucks fans, listen up. Jeff Paterson joins us next from the West Coast. Oh, it's Mike Wilner next. Okay, gotcha. Mike Wilner. Oh, even better. From the Deep Left Field podcast, the star of Jays Talk. Okay, Mike Wilner, thank you. We'll be right back talking a little baseball here on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio. Live streaming on YouTube and Facebook, and of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Skate into the holiday season with the Stars. Stars on Ice 2024 Holiday Tour. With figure skating icon Elvis Stoico, Olympic medalist Caitlin Osmond, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poche, Keegan Messing, Satoko Miyahara, and more. Stars on Ice. Coming to Moose Jaw Event Center December 20th. Unwrap your tickets at starsonice.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Hey, sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback. In the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne, it's never too late to revitalize your skin with Aliterra Naturals. Check out their website at aliterra.com. Use promo code RP20 for 20% off your first order. It's not your mom's skin cream. Trust me. All right, let's talk a little baseball. And before we look forward with Mike Wilner, host of the Deep Left Field podcast, Mike, let's look back at the World Series, if you don't mind. I don't know where this term, a gentleman's sweep, came from, but I don't mind it. It's like, we'll give you a game. That's what the Dodgers did to the Yankees, winning it in 5, but anticlimactic in a lot of ways. What was your take on the 2024 World Series?
Yeah, it was fine with me because the Yankees lost. Honestly, it doesn't matter whether it was in 4, 5, 6, or 7. They were not nearly as good as the Dodgers, and it was a just result in the World Series. I gotta say though, Rod, you brought me on at the exact wrong time. Right when I came on, you were talking about how people don't want to be told who to vote for and how to get vaccines and stuff like that. And we're all wearing these poppies right now. And 2 days ago, the country to our south that you're broadcasting in just overwhelmingly voted in a guy who says that soldiers who were killed at war are losers and prisoners of war are suckers. And I don't understand the world we're living in right now. I don't understand how up here in Canada it feels like we're about to elect someone who says he speaks for the working people but has never worked a day in his life outside of Parliament and who won't get a national security clearance because there's stuff he doesn't want to know. I don't want to tell you who to vote for. I just want you to really look hard at the people that you're voting for. And to try to vote for something and not against something. I just got my COVID shot 2 days ago. So many millions of people have died, and now we find out that all our MMR vaccines that we got in the 70s are waning, and we need another one. I don't want my grandchildren dying of measles when they're 3 months old. So please, let's everybody take care of your fellow humans, please. And let's hope the Yankees continue to lose World Series year after year after year.
I was going to say, don't spend too much time overthinking this stuff because you never will figure it out. Nobody ever will, Mike. But, it's funny you say that about the Yankees. Have you watched the Netflix series, The Comeback, yet on the 03-04 ALCS? Will you?
I watched it live. I saw every game, and it was awesome at the time. I have not seen that, but I talked to Dave Roberts, who had the biggest stolen base in history in that series, and it was wonderful 20 years ago, and it will ever be. As long as nobody else ever comes back from 3-0 down, and we get reminded of the Yankees' spectacular collapse every time a team gets up 3-0 in every playoff series forever, that will be. That's just perfect.
I call myself a casual baseball fan, but I was watching it at the time too. It's fun to go back and remember these things. And I'm watching the series, the Netflix series, going, oh, yes, this is why everybody hates the Yankees. I forgot. And there's that arrogant SOB, George Steinbrenner, standing there before the microphones, basically explaining his arrogance and certainly not apologizing for it. So, yeah, I enjoyed the series. Now, let's look forward. The Juan Soto sweepstakes. Guess he's going to take some time off before digging into this, Mike. What are the Blue Jays a player, do you think, for Juan Soto?
Hope so. I think so. I don't think they're a major player for Juan, so I think things are going to have to break in a very specific, certain way. He's going to have to be blown away by their facilities, which is easy. I mean, they do have the best facilities in the major leagues, both in spring training and back at Rogers Center. The all the stuff under the stands for the players is the players have said that it's the best in the big leagues. He's going to have to be blown away by that. They're going to have to make a commitment to him, to spending, and to fielding a legit championship contender year after year, because he's not going to want to sign somewhere for 15 years where 8 of them are going to be mediocre and 2 of them are going to be terrible and 5 of them are going to be really, really good. But what it comes down to is that the Yankees and the Mets have all the money. They're flashier. He has the year with the Yankees already, so he knows what they're all about, and they went to the World Series. So that's going to help. He's had a year in New York, which really it's going to help either way. And I think that I don't think the Jays are going to get into a bidding war if it gets silly, like Ohtani level money. But I do think they'll be in there, and they'll express their interest and let him know that they're serious. If he wants to come here, he's just going to have to, want to come here.
You laid out very good reasons why it may not happen, but at least the desire is there from the Blue Jays, perhaps behalf. Speaking of Ohtani, no buyer's regret there from the Dodgers, huh? Even though he wasn't a big factor in the World Series, they got no regrets in the way they've been spending their money.
There was never going to be any regrets for Shohei, and whoever got him was going to absolutely love having Shohei Ohtani for the better part of a decade. He's the best player who's ever lived. I mean, period, end of story. That's it. He's the best player who ever lived. He didn't have to worry about pitching this year, and he went 50-50, which no one's ever done, ever. And while, he blew out his shoulder in that slide in Game 2 and was never really a factor after that in the World Series, he was certainly a huge factor in getting them there. And, next year, he'll be back to being a two-way player. He'll become their best starting pitcher and their best hitter. We can see why everyone was so excited here 11 months ago when they thought he was coming to Toronto.
Do you enjoy the debate over who's the best ever? Do you enjoy it, or do you have no time for it? You just say, it's him, stop talking to me.
There's no debate. I mean, how could there possibly be a debate? I understand we live in a very low information age and in an age where people are really, really dug in their opinions and don't want to hear anything different. But there's no argument to be made that there's ever been anyone who's better at baseball than Shohei Ohtani.
Well, I'll tell you what I hear. I was listening to Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports 640 South Florida here, basically saying, hey, if it was back in the day, Ty Cobb or Babe Ruth, guys would have been dusting him off at the plate. Or he was just a DH where he set the 50-50 record. He wasn't an everyday player. He wasn't out in the field, putting his body on the line, or he wasn't pitching. He had the benefit of rest because he was just a DH when he set the 50-50 record. Does any of that resonate with you?
No. No, it doesn't. And I understand. I understand that Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb, Ty Cobb would have gone in spikes high or whatever, but he's not in the field, so he's not a middle infielder, so you can't get him. And 2, you can't do that anymore. And I also understand that Ty Cobb put together his lifetime 367 average facing only white guys, and facing really no breaking balls and nobody who threw in the 90s. It is exceptionally more difficult to play baseball now than it ever has been before. You're facing so much more velocity. You're facing ridiculous breaking stuff. And often you're never facing the same pitcher twice in a game. Yeah, no, none of those guys can hold a candle to what Ohtani is able to do, period.
I love the answer. Mike, love chatting ball with you. Enjoy the offseason. Hope we can do it again here before long.
Hopefully there's stuff to talk about on the Blue Jay side. I'm thinking they're going to be active, but they've tried in the past, and we shall see. Thank you.
We'll see. Thank you, Mike. Mike Wilner from the Deep Left Field podcast, and for years, the star of Jays Talk on 1190 CFSL. Weyburn. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover in a moment. Here we are live on Game Plus TV. Key Radio 99.1 FM, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, and of course, on the pods, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Mo.
The Moustache is calling. Raise funds, save lives. Donate at Movember.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Paterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Paterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Paterson Show.
Gorgeous day in the neighborhood, and just ahead of our sports update, I did say viewer takeover, and some of our audience have some thoughts on the Mike Wilner interview from the Deep Left Field podcast. I was a little surprised with some of his comments, as is Bob in Saskatoon. He writes in and he says, Mike Wilner, the election's over. Relax on the continuing disinformation about the U.S. election. I'm at that stage of just let him go. I don't know if he was looking for an argument or not, but just let them go. It's a very interesting perspective I have on the world, and I kind of like it. It's weird. It's weird. Just let him say it. Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta, writes in, he says, the Blue Jays need to extend Vladdy first before Soto will sign, in my opinion. That's the one thing about Mike Wilner. Whether you like it or not, he does give you the unvarnished baseball truth, and it doesn't sound like Soto's going to go to Toronto, just like Shohei was never going to go to Toronto. I'm sorry, but nobody ever goes to Toronto, really. Not prime free agents. I know Roger Clemens did. I know a lot of guys do at the end of their career, but Boomer Wells, sorry. 5 Canadian teams are in action tonight in the NHL. The red-hot Winnipeg Jets, who lead the league at 12-1, welcome the Colorado Avalanche. The Ottawa Senators host the New York Islanders. The Flames are at Boston. The Montreal Canadiens face the New Jersey Devils, and the Vancouver Canucks travel to L.A. Moose and I will be playing breakaway bets next hour. 12 games in the NHL tonight, including here in Sunrise. Panthers home to Nashville. I can't wait. Bo Levi Mitchell is a CFL All-Star for the third time. The Hamilton Tiger Cats quarterback and East Division finalist for the CFL MVP award was named to the 2024 League All-Star squad today. The 34-year-old who led the CFL in pass attempts, completions, yards, interceptions, and touchdowns established career highs in all categories but touchdowns and was named a League All-Star for the first time since 2018. Yet he's probably not going to win League MVP. If based on this, it looks like he will. So that'll be very interesting. At Grey Cup week next week in Vancouver, and the RP show will be there live. The All-Canadian squad, that's the way we used to call it. The All-Canadian, you were named All-Canadian, just like All-American here. The squad features 9 Canadian players and 11 first-time selections. The Saskatchewan Roughriders placed a league-high 5 players on the team. Sports update for Landmark Cinemas in theaters now. Joker, fully due. From acclaimed writer-director Todd Phillips comes the much-anticipated follow-up to 2019's Academy Award-winning Joker, which earned more than $1 billion at the global box office. Fully due. Joker in Landmark Cinemas now. Speaking of Joker, Moose is going to be with us next hour, and you all know how it goes, right? We talk about today's sports news in hour 1. We talk about tonight's sports news in hour 2 and games, and a lot of you people chiming in with your opinions on all of these things. B. Henderson writes in, he says, the Blue Jays are the Winnipeg Jets of MLB. Wrong. Sorry, but they've won 2 World Series. John Ohm says, can BC Place accommodate an MLB caliber baseball? Love for Vancouver to get a team. We all would. And I'm sure there's a reason why Vancouver doesn't have an MLB team. If anybody's out there watching in Vancouver, like you, Dirty 30, why has there never been an MLB team there? You've had NBA. That didn't work. Lots to get to next hour. Stick around. We'll be right back after this brief pause.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
I'm sitting down here in South Florida. I'm just watching. I'm watching you, Wazowski. And there's like they're trying to make up this narrative that Bedard's unhappy in Chicago, that he's got a bad attitude.
Connor Bedard's a kid who is fiercely loyal. Like, he had opportunities to leave the Regina Pats. He didn't want to leave.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I'm going to tell you, everybody, I hope you enjoy this program as much as we do, putting it together for you. It's directed today by Tuna Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It? And produced by Clark Monroe. And Moose is with me in Toronto, Ontario. I am here in South Florida. When I say that, Darren, we have viewers flung all over North America, covering a wide variety of topics. I had a hockey guy from Alberta text me yesterday with his thoughts on Connor Bedard, and basically said if a billionaire owner wasn't calling the shots with his last team, he would have been traded. But they were watching it yesterday. From Connor Bedard to Donald Trump to this to that. I really enjoy it, oddly enough. How about you?
Well, variety, right? That's the key. And you and I are kind of squirrels, so our minds tend to wander to multiple interests. Yeah, this works. This works for us.
It really works. Daytime sports talk works on Game Plus TV across Canada, 31 U.S. states, on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE. I didn't get a response from Ryan O'Radio when I mentioned him an hour ago, so I'll try it again, Ryan O'Radio. I was listening this morning to his show, The Radio Penitentiary, 99.1 FM, Newton, Georgia. It's a suburb of Atlanta, and he said they do true crime every Thursday. And he said, the poll question today, which of these serial killers should have been let loose? Marilyn Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, or other? I'm like, what am I listening to right now? Very entertaining. What I tell you, it's more entertaining than it sounds. The Radio Penitentiary with Ryan O'Radio. And next month, we're going to be going through Atlanta. Serena and I, on our way to Nashville, we're driving, and we're going to stop at the WQEE Studios, Moose, and me and Ryan are going to have a big old time. Let me just empty the comments from the audience here. Kirk, did you watch the interview with Mike Wilner, by the way, the Blue Jays analyst? Did you see that last hour? It's okay if you didn't. You did? He just went off on Trump. And Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, Kirk from Toronto says, Mike Wilner, what a political pant load. If we can somehow keep it funny, maybe we'd have something here. But as I said last hour, people just can't disagree civilly, and everybody wants to rant, and I don't have time for that. Nor, I don't think, do you, or anybody who tuned in here to talk sports.
Because as soon as you open that box, I mean, it was kind of open last hour with Mike, but as soon as you open it, it's hard to get the lid back on, man.
I know. You notice I just smiled and nodded and moved along.
Let him.
Kirk goes on to say the Eastern semifinal, talking about the CFL last week, had a 51% increase for viewers on English TV for a rating of just under 1 million views. Bravo. Well, a lot of the CFL fans have come here to talk. It's the second biggest week of the year in the CFL. Next week is the biggest. These are our most viewed shows. Grey Cup week, they are. So we'll spend some time on that. We have NHL comments and questions that have come in too. Laverne in Swift Current has written in because I was talking about Zach Polaros last hour, and I have admitted I phrased things wrong. On social media this morning, I said that I'm surprised Rider fans never liked Zach Polaros, and people went off, accused me of inciting something, which I did try to incite something, but I was wrong. They never took to Zach Polaros. To say they didn't like him is not accurate, but they never did take to Zach Polaros, and that's the truth because I was there. And don't come at me and call me a body part, a private part, because I'm trying to stir up engagement. My God. Have you watched Walking Bets with Taylor Mathis? Every video she posts has 1 million views. Got to deal with DraftKings. I can't do what she's doing. So I got to stir it up another way. Moose, do you want to take your shirt off and do Walking Bets? I know we've asked you a couple of times. Are you not going to do it?
We'll see. Maybe if I move to either the East or West Coast and can do it on the beach, yeah, I'm down.
Okay. You're not going to do it when you go back to Saskatchewan this weekend to call the Hardy Cup? Okay.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Just with regards to jersey buying, Laverne says, hey, Rod, the best Rough Rider jerseys and the ones I have are number 34, George Royalty Reed, and number 23, Ron the Little General Lancaster. You just can't go wrong. No, but I always say that. That's not new. And I'm trying to keep, well, this is sports focused. I'm trying to keep it on today's games and the news of the day. But I've always said, especially when this era came where your players changed teams every year, either buy your name bar in Velcro or get retro. Because my favorite Rough Rider of all time is Jeff Fairholm. He knows that. And the last time I went and got a Rough Riders jersey, it was Jeff Fairholm because I knew he wasn't going to be traded anywhere. He's my favorite rider of all time. So, yeah, I don't know why anybody would buy a jersey of their favorite player now. What's the last jersey you bought, Darren?
I don't buy jerseys. It's been a long time since I bought a jersey. Like to the point where I can't remember the last jersey I bought. I'm just not a jersey guy. I don't wear them. I don't buy them.
You're smart enough. I don't wear them, yet I buy them. That's how stupid I am. I dropped a cool $200 US on one of these baby blue Panthers jerseys. No, I didn't pay $200 for the bobblehead. For the jersey, I paid $200. I put it on the set of our Cats and Bolts podcast. everybody, I apologize that I'm taking a total off-ramp to Storytown here, but people were up my ass about that. They're like, you got ripped off. That's a Chinese knockoff jersey. I'm like, I don't care. I wanted it. The guy was charging $200. You can't find those jerseys anywhere. So that's the last one. I don't think I've ever had it on. I put it on the set of the Cats and Bolts podcast. Paid $200 US for it. And Bob's your uncle.
Do you like it?
Of the Cats and
Does
Bolts
it bring you joy?
I love it. It brings me so much joy.
Worth it.
Every time I look at it. Every time I look at it. But you must have seen my post on my social media of hanging out with Skinny Joe Merlino yesterday from the infamous Philadelphia crime family. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to hear a funny story. The guy was a mob boss. Go look it up. Skinny Joe Merlino. There's a lot of people here in the area and my circle that are really afraid of Joe. And Serena, he does a podcast. That's why we ran into each other. His podcast was after our Cats and Bolts podcast. He came in. We've met him before. He's a good guy, not a very big guy. They compared him to John Gotti. And if you go look up his Wikipedia, it says that right on his Wikipedia. He spent close to 20 years in jail for racketeering, extortion, a few bad things. And my phone blew up after that photo I put up about you're hanging out with Joe Merlino. Are you not scared of him? I'm like, from my past life, before Darren knew me or any of you viewers, I got a lot of experience of hanging out with members of crime families. Here's an experience. Here's a tip. You don't do anything to them, they ain't going to do anything to you. Okay? They don't want any trouble. So Serena's been on his podcast, believe it or not. And I got to tell you a funny story, Darren. This has happened. I'm with Skinny Joe Merlino yesterday. He was the, whatever the term is, the top of a Philadelphia crime family. And I said, Joe, you're not going to believe this. I said, after the last time I saw you, I got on a plane. I was flying to Super Bowl, and I picked up the National Enquirer, and I said, there was a story about you in there in a photo. Do you remember that, Darren? I said, I just met this guy yesterday. And he's at the National Enquirer, Skinny Joe Merlino. And the story, he goes, yeah, they said I fixed the Super Bowl. And I said, did you? He goes, I lost. And then he started to laugh. He goes, that's why they call it the National Enquirer, because they were accusing me of fixing the Super Bowl. I bet the under, and I lost. Who would fix the Super Bowl to lose? That was Skinny Joe Merlino yesterday, like 20 hours ago from now, Philadelphia crime boss. So again, if you ever happen to be around a crime family member.
My question wouldn't be, did you fix the Super Bowl? My question would be, could you fix the Super Bowl? Like, is that something he has the power to do?
Don't ask questions. I learned that a lot. You know some of the people from my full past. Just don't ask questions, which is another thing. I brought up, with the Wilner. I said the Blue Jays don't historically land big-name free agents. And I brought up Roger Clemens, and I was like, was Roger Clemens a Blue Jay? Because for sure Boomer Wells was. I had to go look it up. But yeah, he was, 97, 98.
Very good,
and this is the this is the intersection of my life. I pay thousands of dollars to forget the past life and move forward. Yet being a sports talk host, you got to kind of remember what happened in the past. You'd like to just unhitch the wagon and move on. And professionally, it's very difficult to do that. So those are some of the things that we talked about in hour one that are carrying over here into hour two and hanging out with Skinny Joe Merlino yesterday. And it's 1:11 Eastern. Just putting that up. We used that sound effect yesterday, Darren, after you were gone. I talked about when Joe Madden walked into the Century Downs Casino in Calgary. Hit it again. Yep. Joe Madden walks in through the front doors. Can you envision that being a thing? Because that's exactly what happened.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Walking in, the lights just beaming in through the window right behind her. I can see it.
Yeah. People were knocking over tables to just stand in her presence. And that's completely not an exaggeration of Joe Madden, Century Downs Casino in Calgary last year. And that was the first time we'd ever met face to face. And we've stayed close friends ever since. Yeah, CFL, we're getting to you in terms of a topic, probably more next segment. And tomorrow's going to be, hey, Football Friday. That's what we do. Moose is going to be on the road, on the plane, heading back to broadcast the Hardy Cup. Jim Barker's going to be with us like he always is. And Matt Dubuck is going to be with us right here in this studio for the full hour, too. CFL alumni he is. Kid plays college football at South Florida. He's won 3 state championships and won a bowl game himself at Texas Tech. The guy's a football guy. And he's going to be with us for the full hour previewing CFL Division Finals. So a hockey question here from the Puck and Pigskin podcast says, Rod, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the Edmonton Oilers' struggles. I watch a lot of Oilers hockey, and I see Bouchard looking very off. Maybe that's who Bruce Boudreau was referring to on NHL radio this morning, one of the Oilers' defensemen being brain dead. So I don't understand, and I say this respectfully because Jason from Red, your host of the Puck and Pigskin podcast, what do you guys want? Do you want them to win every game? I don't understand. Guys are going to have off nights. They're going to have off weeks. Connor McDavid's been hurt, and he was scoreless last night. They're not going to be perfect every game. That's back, I said to Wilner, stop staying up at night, beating your head against the wall, trying to figure out why things are the way that they are, because you're never going to know. They replaced the general manager from last year, Ken Holland. They fired the coach almost 1 year ago exactly. What are we going to say? Fire Chris Knobloch now, who took them all the way to the Stanley Cup final? My God, it's a bitch when the other team tries to. And by the way, you were playing Vegas last night, not the San Jose Sharks. And then I get it. It's not just Jason. It's everybody. It's what Flames, pardon the pun, sports talk and podcasts and blogs and social media and all the rest. But, oh, my God, stand down. What it is as a team is, and which funny they would bring up our poll question today, is who's going to be the first coach firing in the NHL. Chris Knobloch's not on the list. It's fascinating to look at who is, however. But our poll is who will be the first coach fired. Bruins' Jim Montgomery, who last I looked was leading. Nashville's Andrew Burnett. Mike Sullivan in Pittsburgh or other. But just with the Oilers, Stuart Skinner was sensational last night. I didn't stay up to watch the game, but I saw the stats, which is enough. Sometimes it doesn't all happen for you. And by the way, I'll remind you, it's November. So that's my take on the Oilers. Chill out. That's my take. Do you have one on the Edmonton Oilers, or for that matter, your Leafs?
Yeah, no, just be patient. And, your patience will wear out eventually, but it's too early for that. Like, the first real block where you can start to sweat and maybe get worried is U.S. Thanksgiving. And then after that, Christmas. Not yet. We're still a couple of weeks away.
Listen to the hockey guys. If you don't like my opinion, listen to those that have come on this show and shared it, or the people that I talked to, like Peter Marr, who all of our Alberta listeners will not need an introduction when I tell you the name Peter Marr. He was on this show. He's the Hall of Fame voice of the Calgary Flame. He said it's not game 1 to 15 that you need to worry about your team or even form an opinion on your team. It's game 16 to 30. But people go do the math. They're either in that window or just entering that window, your team. This is the team you have here, because you spent 15 games getting to know each other, figuring it all out. That's maybe why Nashville hasn't made a move yet, because they've only played 13 games on Andrew Burnett. They're just now getting into that window. This is what you have, and that leads up quite nicely to U.S. Thanksgiving. And that's when coaches get fired, maybe trades get made. You know what I'm saying? So, again, it's just early, and I understand that it is everybody's favorite pastime to pick and poke and prod at what's going on with their hockey team. But I'm not buying into it because it's friggin' exhausting. Oh, because look at the Winnipeg Jets. We sit there and dissect them, and their fans are like, what do you mean? They need to add something. They're 12-1. Until you lose a couple, and then you want to fire everybody. It's too much. 12 games in the NHL tonight, and we'll play breakaway bets when we come back. And Jeff Paterson's on the way from the Vancouver Canucks. Now, there's a team that one of my hockey guys told me the other day have hit their ceiling. They're not going to get better. We'll talk to Jeff Paterson about that later on this hour. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, everybody. Hour 2 rolls on. Is your skincare starting rotation giving up big hits to wrinkles, age spots, and acne scars? Revitalize your self-care roster with Alaterra's all-natural lineup of nourishing products. Check out their website at alaterra.com. Use code RP20 for 20% off your first order. I got to get that stuff on my face. It's not your mom's skin cream. I hope Andy, the founder and CEO, doesn't mind me using that. Moose and the Mooseaholics. Norm Fong's watching, the Hall of Fame equipment manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, to inform me and you people that today is Jeff Fairholm's birthday, my favorite all-time Rough Rider. And give me a second, please. Please allow me to just repeat the story. I was not really a Rough Riders fan growing up. It was in grade, I was, but I wasn't diehard about it. I was hockey first, baseball second, and a very distant third was football. But in grade 10, Jeff Fairholm came to our school and spoke to us, and I was like, that guy's cool. And from that moment on, I never played a down of football. My guy was from small town Saskatchewan. We didn't have football. I was buying tickets. I went to the 1988 Western semifinal against the BC Lions with my friend Vaughn, who I'm texting with this morning. I was a Rider fan forever because I met Jeff Fairholm and he came to my school. And then I got to know him later in life, and he's as good a guy as you'd want him. They say don't meet your heroes. That's not true. Although when I met George Strait, he was. But one thing about Fairholm, he told me, because he left to go to Toronto, I think as a free agent. And he goes, once you leave Saskatchewan, they don't look at you the same. They don't treat you the same ever again. I don't. What I remember is my favorite Rough Rider when he left. I didn't really care because I was like, after Gretzky got traded in 1988, you can't break my heart anymore. I don't have feelings anymore. So Fairholm left. Bye. Was there a sports move that broke your heart, Aaron? Because mine was shattered so bad August 9th, 1988, that there ain't coming back from that.
The only one that got me was when Matt Sundin ended up playing with the Vancouver Canucks at the end of his career. You know, I thought you'd never see him in another team, and he was my favorite player. So you're always sad when your favorite player leaves your favorite team.
Yeah, it's kind of a life thing. So it's kind of weaving. And by the way, my advisors are telling me to continue to throw these tidbits out there for everybody. It's a lot of an age thing. You think this is going to go on forever? You think this wonderful job is going to go on forever? This wonderful marriage is going to go on forever? This wonderful friendship is going to go on forever? A lot of times they don't. How are you going to deal with it? Happened many times. Comes with age. Get used to it, basically. It's funny with the jersey thing. We're a sports talk show. I could see why people would gravitate to that topic. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I have many Stamps jerseys, but never a player. It's probably the right way to go. Shy writes in, he says, I prefer a no name or number on a jersey. Utah Darren writes in, he says, the only one I've ever bought, LaDainian Tomlinson, throwback, powder blue. I think we're all suckers for those powder blue jerseys. I know I am.
Yeah.
Regarding me hanging out with Skinny Merlino, he's not a reputed Philadelphia crime boss. He was a Philadelphia crime boss. Went to jail for at least 12 years. This is hilarious. Go look it up, man. You won't. I'll just tell you. He got out in 2014, and in 2015, the authorities said, you're still running the crime family, Skinny. He goes, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I've gone straight. He ended up going back to jail for like 4 years, and now he's out doing a podcast, and he got kicked out of the crime family because he was too public, and he wanted to become a celebrity. From what I can tell, money's not an issue with Skinny. He just wants to host a podcast and be a public person. They compared him to John Gotti. Have you watched the streaming series on John Gotti, the New York crime boss? Have you seen those?
No, I haven't watched the
care.
streaming series, but I'm kind of familiar.
Why, he flaunted his celebrity. And I don't like that. And Skinny's kind of the same. So he got kicked out of the crime family. So he's not now doing illegal things. At least not when we're together. So Shy says, Rod hangs with all kinds of people from all walks of life with the same kind of problems. Oh, trust me. Everybody's got problems, man. And every life has pain. It's how you deal with it. Tony from George Fox Country says, only 2 named jerseys I own are Bernie Kosar's number 19 and Pete Rose's number 14 Expos jersey. Is that white or powder blue, Tony? Tell me. I'd love to know. Wow. Okay. Sorry. Sean Shy says, Rod's from a town close to where Corner Gas is from. Yeah, about 13 miles, which is just one last thing. Darren, I'm sorry. Thanks for putting up with all my stories here. I was speaking in that little town, what Corner Gas is from. What do they call it? Dog River?
Dog River.
Really called Rollo. Yeah, it's like about 14 miles from my hometown. And I was speaking at an event there, Hockey and Hearts Gala. And they were taking shots at me in my hometown of Milestone. I'm like, guys, it's 14 miles away. We're all the same. But what I've realized is they don't see it that way. You know that, right? That's why Corner Gas was built on that mentality. You're from the next town. We're all the same, man. I dated your sister last year. Like, get over it. Oh, Jeff, the Stamps fan. Sorry, do you have a comment? You're from that. You get it.
It's so true, man. Like, even like, honestly, even Canadians and Americans are the same. And that's a big difference, you know? But it's like, no, they're like, we're from North America. We're all like North Americans. You go overseas to Bali or Japan, Taiwan, we're different people. But like, I used to grow up and think, ew, you're from Wadena? I do not want to be around anybody from Wadena or Foam Lake. Like, you guys are gross. And it's like, no, we're all the same people. Like, there's no differences, really.
I got ran out of Wadena. So, as you know.
Yes.
The home of Pamela Wallen. I went in there and started telling jokes about it usually is. I went in there and started telling jokes about Pamela Wallen, the disgraced Canadian senator. Who knew they loved her? Because I'll tell you what, in my hometown, if I was charged with things Pamela Wallen was, it would not be swept under the rug. But in Wadena, they've forgotten all about it. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I thought that town was fictional. No. It's real. Okay, enough Mickey Mousen. Are you ready to play breakaway bets? Because it's going to take a minute or two.
Yeah.
12 games tonight. Nashville at Florida. What you thinking?
Got to be Florida.
Yeah, I agree. Especially
won 5 in a row.
Playing
Yeah,
last
it's got to be
night.
Florida.
Islanders at Ottawa. Let me go first. Senators.
Okay, I'll take the Islanders on this one tonight.
Perfect. The Calgary Flames at the Boston Bruins. Who do you like?
I like Boston.
I'll take the Flames because I always pick against them and I'm always wrong. So I'll take the Flames tonight. Pittsburgh at Carolina.
Hurricanes.
Me too. The Montreal Canadiens at the New Jersey Devils. Martin St. Louis is a sneaky dark horse in first coach firing, by the way. It's not on our poll, but I could see it. Montreal at New Jersey. Who wins?
Jersey.
Yeah, me too. Buffalo at the New York Rangers. I'll take the blue shirts. That's New York. You?
Yeah, I will too. I think the Rangers win.
Philadelphia Flyers at the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning have lost 3 in a row.
I know. I still got to go with Tampa, though, to snap that tonight.
And Philly's bad.
They sent Michkov down. He's played well. Then send him down. They're scratching him tonight.
Colorado at Winnipeg.
Jets.
Yeah, me too. Jets. Just end the season. Oh, that's the football team. Utah at St. Louis.
Utah.
Perfect. I'll take the Blues. They beat Tampa the other night. Chicago Blackhawks at the Dallas Stars. This is easy. Dallas for me.
Yes, easy.
You?
Dallas.
Okay. Vancouver at the LA Kings.
That?
How do you like that? I just pulled a Howard Stern and a Motor City Madmouth burping on the air. Vancouver at LA.
Spicy.
It is. This is the toughest game of the night and maybe the best game of the night. I'll take Vancouver.
Okay. For that reason, I'll take LA and Minnesota at San Jose.
Wild.
You going to take the Wild? Yeah, me too. They're in my NHL top 5, bottom 5. There's our breakaway bets, everybody. It's a little thing that Darren and I made up called sport betting. We pick the games, don't put any money on it, and have a lot of fun. Certainly has you paying attention to the games, doesn't it? Gambling
big time
is a wonderful thing when done safe. I don't know why, but Jeremy in Winnipeg writes it and says, Gavason, and it's gone. And then he just deleted it. You got the right show, bro? Have you got the right show?
Acting.
Have you ever had athlete's foot?
No.
I have. I'll tell you something. Tough actin, Tinactin works. But I'll tell you what, if you're ever having a case of jock itch, I learned this from Ron Estee. I walked around the corner of the Ryder locker room back in the day. He had a pit stick running it back and forth in his junk. I'm like, What are you doing, Swamp? He goes, he gets rid of the jock itch. He goes, put it on your stick and berries. Been doing it ever since.
Bob's your uncle.
Do you have a quick thought on the BC Lions being over the salary cap? What's the last word from you, Moose?
Yeah, not a big deal. We knew they were spending money. It's unfortunate for them that it didn't pay off in a trip to the Grey Cup, but now they got to pay the fine, and that's how the CFL works. You go over the cap, you pay the fine, and this was a gamble that did not pay off for the BC Lions. And that's it.
There you go. Well said. Okay, travel safe, Moose.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Have a good one. I will.
The Moose, he gone. He'll be calling the 87th Hardy Cup on Canada West TV and along this very same cable carrier. We'll be going to Vancouver next. Jeff Paterson will preview the game of the night in the NHL. We are live on Game Plus TV, Channel 924, Telus Optic all across BC, Channel 230 on Shaw Rogers Cable, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube, also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Let's go, let's go, let's
business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Folks, hour 2 of the RP Show brought to you in part by Culligan. Drink clean, live green. Filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. 12 games in the NHL tonight. Let's bring in Jeff Paterson now from rink-wide Vancouver. The game of the night we've discerned is the Canucks at the Los Angeles Kings. JP, I'm sure you would agree. What's got you excited about this one?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Los Angeles Kings. Canucks haven't seen them yet this year, but they will see them 3 times. Obviously, long-time rivals here on the West Coast. And this is a Kings team that I think we've all been conditioned the last couple of years. Sit back, 5 men back, make teams break through a wall, tough to score on, but don't score a lot. All of a sudden, they're 8-3-3. They're off to a terrific start. They just went through Nashville and Minnesota and gave up 1 goal. So they're getting it done at both ends of the ice now. I think they got 5 guys that have 12 points already this season. This is going to be a good test for a Vancouver team that has beaten San Jose and Anaheim, trying to complete the California sweep on this 3-game road trip. But this will be the toughest test by far based on sort of the evolution of those other 2 teams.
6-2-3, third in the Pacific Division. Where are you on this team, or is it too early to tell? Have you formed a generalization, whether they're good or not?
Oh, I think they're a good team. It's a question of how good, and there's still so many moving parts with Thatcher Demko and his absence and his injury. Elias Pedersen, who last year, Rod, was the fastest guy in the National Hockey League to 25 points, got off to an incredible start. He's got 5 points as we sit here, and obviously now making close to $12 million. Highest paid player on the team, one of the highest paid players in the National Hockey League. Woefully underperforming. And so he has been in the spotlight here in Vancouver, basically been the talking point. And this goes back to last season as well, really since he signed the contract in March. There's just been this massive drop in his production. So people are all waiting for him to get revved up. And without Thatcher Demko, really without an awful lot of input from Elias Pedersen, yet there they are with just 2 regulation losses through 11 games. So the depth guys have been incredible. Players that they have picked up here in the offseason, like Kiefer Sherwood and Danton Heinen's been a nice addition. Teddy Bluger. You know, at the outset of the year, like, look, you and I have been talking for 3 minutes here. I haven't mentioned Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, Brock Besser. Those are the stars on this team, and they've all had their moments. Hughes has been really good, but without Kevin Lankinen, who was picked up on the last day of training camp because of uncertainty in the pipes, he's unbeaten in regulation time. He's 6-0-2, has picked up a point in every game he's played for the Canucks. So it's a team game, right? You need depth, and you need sort of those supporting cast players. That part of this group has been really good. It's just a question of, you know, can the stars elevate and sort of get back to the level that they were at last season for the Canucks?
You know, I heard analysis on Elias Pedersen the other day. I want your take on this. They said maybe Vancouver is not the market for him. You know yourself, you're from there, how difficult it is to play. Some guys thrive in it. He clearly is not. How much is that a discussion point on your shows and what you're hearing?
Yeah, every day. People are just, it's so hard to sort of reconcile where this guy was a 102-point player. He was the rookie of the year, scored in his first NHL shot, scored 10 goals in his first 10 NHL games. Like, he burst onto the scene and, you know, really looked the part of a superstar. And it's just so hard to figure out whether there's an injury that he's trying to play through. He won't say anything. The team's not saying anything, but he doesn't miss any practices. He plays every game. If it was a significant injury, you'd think at some point you'd sit him down and protect the investment here, but that hasn't been the case. And so he just looks like he's so up in his own head right now and just overthinking and overprocessing absolutely everything. He's a different guy, and I don't mean that as a bad thing. He's his own guy. But as far as the market goes, look, there's 32 NHL markets. They're not all at the fever pitch in terms of the coverage, but the Vancouver is. But any of the Canadian markets, a lot of the major markets in the National Hockey League, you're going to get the same scrutiny wherever you go. So, there hasn't been any. Look, he committed to the Canucks. They committed to him in March. It's a long-term max deal. If he really didn't want to be here, perhaps there would have been an opportunity then to make his intentions known. But he decided to take the money here, said all the right things in the moment. So, I don't think it's as simple as he doesn't want to be here. I just think he has to understand that he is a star and it comes with the territory, and making the money that he's making now, he's got to do a better job of blocking out the noise that comes with the attention and the focus, and just figure out a way to get back to being that guy that was one of the top players in the National Hockey League. Because right here, right now, and really this season so far, he just hasn't looked that part at all.
Bomber Boy, who is in Calgary, writes in and he says, Pedersen's wallet is weighing him down, LOL. Well, he wouldn't be the first to be under the weight of a hefty expectations and hefty contracts. So are they willing to just, I guess they don't really have a choice. They got to wait for him to sort this out. Am I right?
Yeah, look, there are a lot of sort of component parts to all of this. Because he signed the contract at the age of 25, he couldn't get trade protection in the first year. So he's got a no movement clause that kicks in after year one. If it really got to a breaking point, the Canucks could, I suppose, shop him around. I don't think they're doing any of that. They want to get this thing sorted out, figured out, and have him pulling on the rope in the right direction. But that is just the certainty of the situation, that he doesn't have trade protection until next, I guess, July 1st. It kicks in then. So, that will fuel speculation and rumors. Look, he seems pretty happy on the 15th and the 31st of each month with the new contract. It's all those other days in between when it just isn't going for him. And it is wild. Again, we have seen this guy play at a level that made you think he was going to be one of the top players in the National Hockey League for a long, long time. And so I don't believe he's forgotten how to play hockey, but when you watch him suit up and get out there, it's just not happening for him at all right now. And you're right. Like, as an organization, I think they're supporting him. They're trying to surround him with the right people and put him in positions to succeed. But at some point, and Rick Tocchet has made this point abundantly clear, at some point it's on the player just to figure it out and show up and start producing. And they're not at that point yet. 5 points, 11 games into this season.
Sounds to me like he could benefit from a chat with a sports psychologist, and my guess is he probably already has. I had a hockey guy say to me the other day, Jeff, that the Canucks peaked last year, that they've reached their ceiling, putting a pennant up from the division and as far as they went in the playoffs. Do you agree with that? Or how high can they go?
Yeah, look, they pushed the Oilers to Game 7 of the Stanley, or to the second round, without Thatcher Demko, and Brock Besser didn't play Game 7 because he had blood clots. So I'm not saying they would have beaten the Oilers, but you get to Game 7, you take your chances. They fell just short on home ice. They think there's growth potential. They think that they've got the kind of team here that can get them to a conference final, and at that point, you're in the Final Four, and then you need some things to go your way. You're dealing with probably the four of the best teams in the National Hockey League. So I'm not sitting here and saying that this is a prohibitive Stanley Cup favorite by any stretch of the imagination, but they think that they have checked off a lot of boxes. It's a solid team, without a doubt, when you look at the forward group. And when I say the forward group, I'm including a productive Elias Pedersen, so they do have to get that sorted and figured out. Right now, the issue is on defense, because beyond Quinn Hughes and Filip Hronek, and those two have been sensational by any measure, by any metric. The ice just absolutely tilts in the Canucks' favor when they're out there. And Hughes plays a ton, but even if he plays close to 30, it leaves another 30 minutes where you've got to find guys that can get the job done. And they have been exposed lower in their defensive depth. And I think coming into the season that we wondered that. Nikita Zadorov had an incredible playoff run. He took the money and went to Boston. And they really didn't fill that gap. I mean, they brought in players, but Zadorov was so dynamic in the playoffs, had a terrific playoff run, became a massive fan favorite, brought real swagger to this group as well. And so there are legitimate concerns, but we also know that Patrick Allvin is one of the most aggressive, one of the most active general managers on the trade front. It was last November they made the Zadorov deal. A few months after that, they went out and got Elias Lindholm. They are accruing cap space here so that they can cook something up. The roster you see isn't the roster that they'll have at the trade deadline. Like I fully believe that Patrick Allvin isn't going to let this opportunity slide. So no, I think this can be a really good team, but can it get beyond the second round? I mean, I guess time will tell.
Yeah, they did pretty well last year. So we'll see. Hey, we got to run, but I'm coming to Vancouver next week. I don't know if I'll see you unless I wind up in the press box of Rogers, whatever they're calling it, Rogers Arena. Although I might, you never know. Is the Grey Cup rating at all on your radar, Jeff?
The Canucks play Grey Cup Sunday against Nashville, so I'll be busy then with hockey rather than football, but I'll make time for some events throughout the week, so hopefully we cross paths. Look, it was really disappointing to see the BC Lions be 5-1 at one point in the season and then bring in Nathan Rourke, and there was some real hype and buzz in the marketplace. Matthew Betts came back as well, and then just absolutely flamed out from there. End up losing more games than they win. Look, hosting the Grey Cup, that's never a guarantee, right? But it's always that pot of gold for the team that is supposed to be the host team. So opportunity was knocking for the Lions. They were the presumptive Grey Cup champs, really, by any pundit that follows the CFL at the outset of the season. I don't think you can look at this any way other than to say this was a massive letdown and disappointment. And so now, and you've experienced this before, you get the Grey Cup here in your city, but your team's out after the first round of the playoffs. So not a lot of buzz right here, right now. But once we know the Grey Cup finalists, hopefully Canada's Great Party will live up to its reputation and things will pick up here. So I hope you enjoy your time in Vancouver, and I hope we cross paths somewhere along the line.
Thank you for the on-the-spot report, Jeff. I'll see you next week. There's no doubt. Thanks for the time, man. Enjoy the game tonight.
Always great, Rod. Thanks.
Jeff Paterson from Rinkwide, Vancouver. Overtime's coming up next. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, on the streams, of course, and also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
3033. 902 518 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Watch out, everybody, for this white truck coming your way again, right into your living room. Hockey teams and fans, have you been to Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary yet to improve your game or just to have fun? With state-of-the-art equipment, spacious shooting lanes, and games for all ages, Overtime Hockey Lanes is the perfect place to build your team, whether you're from the Calgary area or from out of town on a road trip, or just go have fun. Take the family down there. Book your lanes today, 28th Street, Northeast, Calgary. 902-518-3033. This is where we turn it over to you, the viewers. So, Merv, if you're still watching, Merv in the Queen City writes in. Merv Ritter, you act like I don't know you, Merv. He says, hey, Rod, it's Merv, originally from Southie. Great high school football town. This weekend, the Southie Eagles play Rosetown. Go Eagles. Merv, we were in the Caribbean together, remember? Mexico? You not remember? I do. You had the funny hat. Ron in Calgary writes that he says, the game of the night is Flames versus Bruins. Lindholm and Zadorov against their old team. From what I've seen, Lindholm hasn't done much in Boston. I saw them here opening night. Zadorov has been good for Boston from what I've seen. That'll be a gooder. You all know that if it's your team, you think it's the game of the night, of course. But for everybody else, we think it's the Kings and the Canucks. I'll get to a sports update in a moment, but as I said, this is your time. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I'm starting to think Amar Doman isn't the genius some believe him to be. Hey, fair enough. This is the owner of the BC Lions, but think of this. I saw the figure that they improved their attendance by a total of 30,000 for the year. Attendance is up. I'm sure revenue's up. The fact that the team went in the crapper ain't the owner's fault. He gave them all the money. They threw it at Nathan Rourke. It's Nathan, I'm sorry to say, but it's Nathan Rourke's fault. I think the whole situation was mishandled. BC Lions are getting beat up pretty bad right now. And here's the thing about today's society. I don't know. I don't want to be the bad guy, but look at, you're not in the Grey Cup. You failed. You were given all the resources by the owner, and you failed. Will somebody pay? I think somebody eventually will pay. Look what happened in Calgary. We didn't even expect anything out of them. 3 coaches got fired, although they've all told me they're all doing fine. Shy, this is going to bother me all day if I don't correct this. Shy in Regina writes in and says, Rod, the Grey Cup's being played in BC Place, not Rogers Arena. I know, bro, but if you're following, I said I might run into you in the press box in Rogers Arena at the Canucks game. Not your fault. Okay, breaking news. Manitoba quarterback Jackson Tuchinski has been named the 2024 Canada West Football Player of the Year, coming off a dynamic campaign where he led the Herd to a first-place record at 7-1, their best regular season finish in 17 years. The Bisons were well represented at the conference, unveiled its major award winners today. Head coach Brian Doby was named Coach of the Year in his 29th and final season, while Giordano Vaccaro was named Outstanding Lineman. Calgary's Nate Boschman was recognized as the conference's outstanding defensive player, while UBC defensive lineman Deacon Sterna was named Rookie of the Year. And none of them are going to be in the Hardy Cup. For the soccer fans, this one came across my inbox. Malik Owolabi Baliwu scored in the 53rd minute And Forge FC advanced to the Canadian Premier League Championship game with a 1-0 win over Atletico Ottawa in the semifinal. So the number 1 Hamilton Forge advanced to a 6th straight CPL final where they'll play second-seeded Cavalry FC. Calgary this Saturday at Spruce Meadows. Calgary advanced to the title game last Sunday with a 1-0 win over Forge in the qualifying semifinal. The final will be played at Atco Field in Calgary, as I mentioned. I went to a couple of those games for Cavalry in Calgary. It was fun. It was not really my thing. It was fun to go. Can't go to everything. But it'll be packed. Place is packed. They don't care what just people wearing scarves and chanting songs that I'd never heard and letting off smoke bombs and just, it's what the soccer people do. It's their own thing. John Ohm says, great show today. Can't wait for Football Friday. Thank you, John. Glad to have you part of the program. Sports Update brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and sporting events. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. They've got it all. Use the promo code RPShow for 15% off at checkout. Check them out today at seatgiant.ca. And, of course, brought to you by Landmark Cinemas as well. Yeah, those Flames fans, I'm glad that they are all very fired up about the game of Boston tonight. Merv says, of course, I remember. You didn't have that many icy drinks by the pool, eh, Merv? Thanks for tuning in. I'm assuming you're watching here on Game Plus Television, where we are in 8.5 million homes across Canada alone. Tell your friend. We're here every day at noon Eastern. Thank you, Shy. Says, another great show, Rod. Thank you. I agree. Jim Barker tomorrow, Matt DeBuck. Thanks to our entire team. Great work, guys. We'll see you all tomorrow right here.
McFly, hello.